Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? Alright, let's talk about our dungeon hunters. This week's episode definitely was weird when it comes down to what they started to hunt for, being someone that they thought they found, and wind up finding out that is not the case. So, everything this week pretty much turned out to just be exploring for exploring's sake until the very end, which we come to find out they found what they were looking for. So everything popping off in this week's episode was relatively very straightforward and kind of I didn't want to say this, but I feel like this is one of the first types of, not the first, but it's one of the animes that I have finally come to a conclusion that kids seeing it wouldn't actually be that bad, right? Like kids seeing this show compared to another show that comes out the same day is like night and day on how bad they actually are for, like, graphically, in the case of just explaining certain stuff or certain ways that they showed things, like girls just run around half naked all the time in the other show, while in this show they all wear pants, right? Like there's only one girl that wears a skirt and she doesn't go on any adventure, so they kind of have a good idea of where they want all that appeal to go, or that they don't even care about it in this show, which I appreciate. Just in the case of, that's not the type of plot I'm looking for, right? Like, that's not the type of plot I need to be interested in the show as a whole. I mean, to each their own and whatnot, and if you can't get into the show because there's not much being shown by the ladies, then yeah, you're definitely will not be into this show at all, so that sucks, but whatever. Overall, though, from what I'm getting from this exploration and just everything we're kind of getting to see in this week's episode alone, is pretty obvious where things can go when it comes down to one of our main characters really wanting to get a good understanding of where and why these certain Majus or whatever, the certain types of monsters can actually talk, and what actually made it, possible and stuff like that. But then it really just comes down to them running into one form of human looking monsters and pretty much just openly accepting that they are it and they're the ones that can communicate and stuff. But to come to find out, they really aren't, and they're just really dangerous from what we can understand. Not only have they shown that they want to take out our characters, but they have done a pretty good job of just showing violence towards every once he like walked up and tried to shake hands. So we wind up trying to either A, just find them or explore a little bit more of the dungeon, and our two boys end up falling down a hole that was ridiculously deep. We got a more of an explanation or more of a sight to see of why the Bram sack is the way it is, and what it, I guess it is just the backpack. Like, it's not like a monster inside the backpack. The backpack is the monster. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of out there, right? Like, it's an interesting concept in general, but as of now, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Like, what they're gonna make his backpack do, because it feels like it's part of his character design, right? Like, we've never really seen him without it. So I kind of consider that his part of his characteristic is he just has this ridiculously powerful backpack that's capable of eating and taking out monsters even while he's unconscious. So even when he's not fully awake, his backpack is still on the attack. So I thought that was an interesting little thing that they added to the character in general. But as a whole, I really want to see what is going to pop off at the end of the day, because everything I saw in this episode definitely had potential of just weirdness happening in the case of if our characters really want to get to know this monster who can speak and who showed them the way out this week. Um, who or what is going to, you know, cause them maybe not to be able to hang out with her, be able to see her? Because as we clearly saw, anybody who is trying to, um, come to this dungeon to meet, they're getting greeted by some other monsters that are a lot more dangerous than the one that we had guiding us. Clearly, because even at the end, they don't even really care for her. So, not only did I think the person who came in to save the day, supposedly this week, was the one that injured her, it seems like more or less the people that injured her were the ones that we saw earlier, the green humanoid looking monsters. So that was interesting in itself, and I'm looking forward to seeing it if they were, because if they were, it makes more sense why she was kind of by herself, just off doing her own thing, compared to being around these girls who clearly um, run in packs, right? They run in a group. They never really like to fight or go alone, supposedly. So for her to just run into them all and them all give her like the stink eye, like she's easy prey or something. So we'll have to see what that is all about. I hope you guys are having a good one. Let me know though, because from what I'm seeing in this show, it's definitely um, a lot more simpler, I guess, a lot more uh, reserved. It's a lot of things, right? Like it feels like this show is taking it way back to when nothing needs to be actually shown, and more things are actually just being brought up and building the world instead of just building up all the times we've seen the girls looking, cute or whatever. Which I gotta admit, they did look super. They look super cool in their new outfits that they got for this event. I guess you can say. Not even this event. They just happened to use these clothes at this time. Now that they had a reason for exploring the dungeon, taking his father's inherent stuff that they earned by grinding. So I don't know. I'm just looking forward to what they're going to do with this show. We don't get too many to be continued in this show, from what I've noticed as well. So this is relatively a rare situation where we got a to be continued, which is cool. But as a whole, everybody, I definitely think this show is kind of slowing down for me, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It definitely feels like it's nowhere near um, at its point of just going 100% full out and then explaining to us what the big gate is and stuff like that. It feels like we're taking quite a lot of baby steps to get to that point, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. I just feel like if you're doing this, hopefully they can keep up with the storytelling to a point where it's not just, or it doesn't become boring, right? Like, no one wants to watch a show that you can predict practically everything that's going to happen, and then after trying to predict everything that's going to happen, you wind up getting it right because it's just straightforward, right? Like, no one really wants that unless the straightforwardness is in a complicated show, because all the complications are going into the buildup of the actual situation. But with this, it just feels very, very um, contained, I guess you can say, and contained in the grand scheme of them not really want to go anywhere because they're saving that stuff for later. So they're just putting us in these other positions where we can watch and enjoy learning what the characters would do in certain situations. So overall, I am interested in the show as a whole, but I definitely want to see if I'm not the only one who's feeling this way or whatever. But yeah, I hope my anime people are having a good one. It's been an interesting couple of weeks ever since I started working and trying to get these videos out to you guys. You guys have been very supportive in the case of just not jumping on me for having weird upload times and stuff like that if I miss something. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I will always be trying to push forward my videos in the case of getting them out quicker and doing the best I can to explain a lot, so when we get to the comments section we could just have an honest talk about whatever I didn't cover, which I love. So thank you so much for the support. I look forward to talking to you guys in the comments or talking to you guys in another video. Regardless, I just enjoy my anime people. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you in the next one. So with that being said, I'm your boy, the Anime J, and I will definitely talk to you sooner than later. Peace.